Tifu, obligatory. This happened over the last couple of weeks. My wife and I are sculptors and 3D artists. We work predominantly in clay but also with other mediums like plaster and 3D print. We are also very active on the adult entertainment scene and offer a cast your penis service which is surprisingly popular. Last month she and I cast 12 tumescent dongs of varying proportions for a stag party. This is more popular than you might assume, but it's the first time that we have worked with so many customers at once. It was exhausting dealing with such a large, drunken, ribald group, each trying to maintain wood, and somehow one of us made a mistake. The dick casts were filled with colorful swirly silicone and allowed to set over the next few days. Without breaking open the casts they were delivered to the maid of honor who was organizing the hen party. At the hen party each hen broke open a random plaster cast like a sexy piñata for a game of match the dong. This sounds like fun, yeah? 11 of the 12 casts contained a swirly rubber cock. One of the 12 contained a set of intertwined mother, father and baby hands. A pair of doting parents had been sent a fluorescent fucking tumescent prick to display on their mantelpiece. We think that one of the partygoers likely swapped something for a laugh. Fortunately the family saw the funny side. TLDR, stag party cock model sent to new parents. I am a 17 male, and the douchebag who will call Daniel is also 17. For some history, context. I go to a small school. It's a small school but we live in a city. My class has around 230 people in it so everyone knows everyone. As you can see, we are both males. I'm a gay guy. I haven't had much relationship experience due to being scared of rejection. Everyone in my school knows I'm gay. I get made fun of but it's something I've gotten used to. There are other gay people in my school of course, but none of them are my type and I don't really hang out with them. This boils down to about a week ago. There's this guy, Daniel, he's friends with the group of kids who are assholes and peaked in middle school, freshman year. I know this was a red flag, but up until now Daniel was kind to me. And I'm not an exactly terrible looking dude. When he asked me out to a dinner I was shocked, I will admit. Daniel is the school douche. He isn't exactly liked but his family is prevalent and his mom is close friends with the mayor or something and people mainly like him because he's rich. Neither of us present as gay. I mean if you could call it presenting, but it was even more of a shock for me because Daniel didn't give any hints at all and I thought he was bisexual when he asked me. This boils down to yesterday night. Day before Valentine's Day, we had agreed to a local diner to get some dinner for a small date. When I had arrived at the diner he said he was gonna be a little late. I was fine with that and took a picture of the booth I was in. I waited over 2 hours for Daniel to show. From text to calling his phone. After about 10 minutes after 2 hours I get a text from Daniel calling me a loser and a picture of me sitting alone at the booth. I then get notifications of his social media accounts and pictures of me sitting alone at the booth with captions calling me slurs and a loser in them. To make a long story short I went home and cried and gathered the courage to post here. TLDR, known asshole from school asks me on a date and stands me up. Mandatory not today but a few Valentine's days ago. So it's Valentine's Day. I am a grown happily married man with a wife and kids, and my kids put together Valentine's Day candy and cards for their school. I figure that it might not be a bad idea for me to hand out Valentine's Day candy at work. I go to the store and I get my tried and true favorite, about 30 packages of those sweethearts boxes of chalk-flavored Valentine's Day candy and label one for each of my co-workers in the office. I swing by each desk, Happy Valentine's Day, and hand them out. Guy, girl, young, old, doesn't matter. I thought it was clear I was giving them to everyone. A few of the older ladies in the office thanked me and said they hadn't gotten Valentine's Day candy in years, since their husband died, etc. Well, a few hours later, one of the women about my age I handed candy to stopped me in the hallway to tell me that she was glad I got her candy and let her know how I felt, because she has always had a huge crush on me but never had the courage to say anything. I had to gently let her down and let her know that I got candy for everyone, and that I was a happily married man with a family. She immediately left the office and didn't come back until the next day. We joke about it and are okay now, but that was painfully awkward. TLDR, Thought it would be a good idea to give everyone in the office Valentine's Day candy. Someone in the office thought I was into them and confessed their feelings for me. A happily married man. Some weeks ago my girlfriend bought the gaming chair that has a massaging feature. After noticing this feature was just a small motor inside a pillow, she got curious, took it off, and used it to stimulate herself. The thing is, she has germophobia, and right after doing it she realized what she did and started panicking. She then called me, told me the story, and I managed to calm her down. At the end I asked her if she would like a proper vibrator, as she never had one before. She said maybe, but with a clearly positive intonation and a smirk. Fast forward to her birthday. I should mention that her birthday is an extremely special day for her where everything must go perfect and she wants to be treated like a princess. Well, I bought her a vibrator online and gave it to her. After seeing the completely white box her face changed and she said she had an idea of what it was and then opened it. She immediately started panicking, saying that someone probably used it before and returned, so it was probably infected with many diseases and germs. She then started asking what I touched in the room after touching the box and saying everything now was contaminated and she would never be able to be in the room again. She cried a lot and got deeply sad with me. Needless to say, the dinner I planned for weeks was completely awkward. Dr. I gave my germaphobe girlfriend a vibrator for her birthday which triggered her phobia, leading to a mental, emotional breakdown. Omelette is one of my pet rats. He's the easiest to train because he's so food motivated. I like to have a cute little rat to ride around on my shoulder, so I trained him to hop up onto my shoulder and I'd reward him with treats for doing so. My boyfriend also loves my rats and decided he also wanted Omelette on his shoulder, so he would also give Omelette treats for jumping on his shoulder. The problem is Omelette is not a shy rat at all, isn't afraid of anyone, and now thinks that jumping on anyone's shoulders will get him free treats. I discovered this when I tried to introduce my father to my rats and Omelette flew out the cage door right at my dad the second he opened the door, hoping to get some treats from my dad. My dad yelled and recoiled. Both my dad and Omelette are okay. But lesson learned. So now I have to warn friends who want to meet my rats and pet sitters that Omelette will launch himself at them. Doctor trained my pet rat to jump on my shoulder, and now he launches himself at people thinking he will get treats. So I'm pretty straight, maybe slightly bi if we count femboys. Let's get that out of the way first. I'm also an Indian American male around 26 years of age. I'd also like to clear up some misconceptions around arranged marriage. A lot of non-Indians seem to think it's literally your parents choose who you marry and that's that, but that's not really the case. Instead, it's more like your parents tap their network to find potential partners for you. If you like each other's pics, then you guys meet in person and then you decide whether or not you want to get married. So basically your parents are Tinder and you get a meeting or two to decide whether or not you want to get married. It's not quite as bad as many of you think it is, but the whole process feels super rushed and I'd rather date someone before I figure out if we're compatible or not. Anyways, my parents have recently been getting on my case about getting married. Apparently I'm getting older, need to settle down and give them grandchildren or something like that. Basically every time I see them, which is fairly often since they live close by, they have a new potential match for me, a picture of some new girl, and ask me if I'd be willing to meet her. It's honestly super annoying, but I'm too non-confrontational to really put my foot down and say I don't want an arranged marriage. After all, if I do, there'd be an argument or at minimum some interrogation about why I don't want one. Anyways, I was thinking of ways I could get them to stop harassing me about getting married, and the idea in the title popped up in my head. I decided it'd be a lot easier to just come out as gay than to explain why I didn't want an arranged marriage. My parents were fairly conservative but weren't the types to disown their kids, and if I just said I was gay I'd have a solid reason to not get an arranged marriage. I didn't like girls. That's what I ended up doing last time I was visiting. They were showing me pictures of some girl and I just looked them in the eyes and said, "Mom, Dad, I'm gay." They got really quiet and awkward and asked me if I was sure, and I said yes. My mom told me they'd love me no matter what and to do what makes me happy. My dad was a lot more awkward and quiet but later gave me a similar talk about how he was a bit uncomfortable with the idea, but recognizes that times are changing and I should do what makes me happy. Overall I did feel kinda bad because of how genuinely my parents seemed to respond to me, but was happy with the result. They stopped giving me arranged marriage proposals and stopped showing me pictures of girls. That is until last weekend. I visited them as usual and was greeted by my mom, who was more excited than usual. She sat me down and pulled out a binder with a bunch of pictures of guys. Apparently my parents had spent the last month or so looking for any and all gay Hindu Indian men who I could potentially marry. So now I guess I'm dealing with the exact same shit, but instead of being greeted with pictures of cute Indian girls I get to see pictures of gay Indian dudes instead. Fuck my life lol. At this point the plan is to either find a girlfriend and tell my parents she totally turned me straight, or maybe marry a twink or SMDHNIDK. TL, doctor, told my parents I was gay so they would stop pestering me with arranged marriage matches, start potential gay suitors instead.